Hello everyone, welcome to our Zohar reading. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. Today we will be reading from Zohar for All. We'll be reading Parsha Vayishlach, section Who is this? Let me share the screen one moment. Before we will actually start reading, let's watch a clip of Rav Dr. Laitman.
While reading the Zohar, you are in a special relation, proximation with the upper force. The upper force, it's called the innermost force that dwells in the general desire, which is the generality of existence. And then you have the ability to bring yourself closer to Him, to use Him. The using Him is by placing yourself towards Him artificially, where you want Him to do this over you. Suppose a small girl dresses like a queen. She wants to be a queen, so she dresses as a queen. And then that force works on her and makes her into a queen. We understand this kind of depiction. Okay, so that's what we have to do. So, if next to this force, which you call Zohar, you want to be rich, in control, in power, to be proud over others, this will be for you the potion of death. If you want to put on good clothing of bestowal and so on, this is what you'll have. So that is the It's like this wondrous force. And what you want, you get. Of course, there are conditions about it, but all in all, both through all of these bad cases, bad things where a person asks not what's for, not things that are in his favor, then that upper force teaches that person through that and shows him the right path. That's called work through suffering. It's not a neutral force that whatever you want you can get. It is a positive force, meaning that it has a special form of bestowal. If you don't ask for that form, then you get the very opposite and learn from that. It's better search for the right kind of clothing, the right form. That's called the short and convenient path.
Okay, welcome everyone again. Today we'll be reading from the Book of Zohar. You can find it on Kabbalahinfo under the library. This is part of Volume 1, Introduction to the Book of Zohar. Today we'll read starting with Who is This? Before we'll start reading, let's just check our chat, who is with us today. We have Carl. Greetings from Pittsburgh. Sean, love and peace from Melbourne, Australia. Mabler saying hello, greetings from Mexico. Annie saying shalom, dear friends. Sylvie, love and shalom from Netherlands. Joe Garcia, shalom from California. Hi, Joe. Hello from North California. Again, Annie. Tolik from Brooklyn. Luz saying shalom from Puerto Rico. Unity. Hello from Poland. Michael, hello from San Francisco. And Kabadi from Ethiopia. Welcome, friends. Let's all be together in one common intention. Let's make this time very special. Feel like the peace in the world really depends on our unity, on how much we want to be together as one and feel this text, have this text connect us and bring contentment to the Creator. (169) Rabbi Elazar opened and said, "Who is it rising from the desert? Who is it is the whole of two sanctities, two worlds, Bina and Malchut, in one bonding and in one connection. Rising means that she is actually rising to be holy, of holies, since me, Bina, the holy of holies, connected with this Malchut. So the Malchut will be rising, which is the holy of holies. From the desert, since she inherited this from the desert, to be a bride and to enter the chuppah, the wedding canopy. It is written, who is it rising from the desert, clinging to her beloved? This is about the end of correction, when the bride rises to the chuppah. The Zohar refers, who is it, to Bina, who is called me, who, and to Malchut, who is called this, or it. It says that at that time, who is it will be included as one, two sanctities included. This is so because prior to the end of correction, only Bina is called holy, and Malchut that rises to Bina is sanctified only in the holiness of Bina. But at the end of correction, Malchut herself will be holy, too, like Bina. And who is it Rising will be an inclusion of two sanctities, two worlds, Bina and Malchut, in one bonding and in one connection. A connection is the bundle of life, the end of the Malchut and the screen that rises reflected light and connects all the Sefirot as one. At that time, it will end in Yud, forever equal to Bina. This is called one connection and one bonding, since the level of light of Malchut will be connected to the level of Bina, actually as one. For then Malchut herself will be rising to be the actual Holy of Holies like the Bina, actually rising like a burnt offering, which is the Holy of Holies. This is because me, Abba Ve'ima, the Holy of Holies, connected this, Malchut, so that Malchut will be discerned in the form of rising, which is the Holy of Holies. For then a bonding of me with this was done to make this herself the Holy of Holies. And since this is so, it is impossible for any diminution to be in Malchut, since her own sanctity is the Holy of Holies, like the Bina. This is why it is written, death will be swallowed up forever. Also, it was said that she inherited it from the desert to be a bride and to enter the chuppah. The desert is the place of the serpent, the seraph, a type of angel, and the scorpion, and the keepers of the Torah are regarded as the makers of the Torah. It follows that this great coupling of the end of correction was done specifically from the desert. 170. She rises from the desert as it is written, and your desert is calmly. She rises in that desert of lip whispering. Midbar, desert, means dibur, speech. As it is written, these mighty gods, these are the gods who smote the Egyptians with all kinds of plagues in the desert. But was everything that the Creator did to them in the desert and not in a settled place? Explanation. Prior to the end of correction, while Malchut is called a tree of knowledge of good and evil, her entire correction is done through the man, by which the righteous raise Malchut to Bina. Through this ascent, Malchut becomes as holy as Bina for the time being. These man are a prayer in whisper, since Malchut speech cannot be in a state of speaking only goodness without any evil, except when the voice in the speech is from Bina, which is a unification of voice and speech, a coupling of Zon in Gadlut, since Zeranpin receives the voice of Ima and gives in the speech of the Malchut. At that time, the speech is all good without any bad at all, and she receives the Mochin of holiness. Indeed, without this mitigation from the voice of Bina, the voice of Malchut, the first nine, there is a grip for the shells in Malchut, and she cannot receive from the holiness. Hence, the ascent of Man is considered that the righteous raise in prayer, which are in whisper of the lips, speech without a voice, as it is written, only her lips move, but her voice is not heard. This is because then there is no grip to the man that they raise, and they can raise the Malchut to Bina too. So she receives the voice from Bina. At that time, she becomes a holy structure and receives mohin in a coupling of voice and speech, and the sanctity of her speech stays over the heads of the righteous who corrected them. This is why it was said, she rises from the, as it is written, and your desert is calmly. Since the bride is now destined for the great coupling to enter the chuppah through the raising of man of the righteous, as it is written, and your desert is calmly, when they extend the voice from Ima into the speech to Malchut. By that the desert of the Malchut becomes as calmly and as beautiful as Bina, because all those zivugim, or couplings, that were made before one by one have now gathered into the great coupling to admit her into the chuppah. And in that desert of the lip whispering, she rises through the man, menukva enaim, that they raised previously by the whisper of the lips, in a speech without a voice, since her voice is still in the first nine, and the voice of Ima was extended into her. Thus, of all those good deeds, now the great coupling to enter the chuppah has been made, since now her own voice has become good without any bad at all, too, and she becomes holy of holies like Ima, the spiritual mother. Before we continue, let's take a moment to look at our chat. Who else joined us? Hello, Carly. Hello, Dennis from Southern California. Kebedi from Ethiopia, Michael from San Francisco, Luz from Puerto Rico, Tolik from Brooklyn, Joe from California, Annie from North Carolina, Mabila from Mexico, Sean from Melbourne, Australia, and Carl from Pennsylvania. Thank you, friends, for being with us. Let's watch a short clip of Rav Dr. Michael Laitman and get back to our reading.
When a child grows up, it takes years, which means months and weeks and days and hours and minutes and moments of gradual growth. This is how it is. It takes time. We think that entering the spiritual world is something that happens in a flash. The 20 years that we spend growing up in this world, not in order to change our nature, but just to match ourselves to this reality, which is really worthless and formless compared to spirituality. This is something we agree with, because we see that this is reality. It's impossible otherwise. But with spirituality, we think, where's the entrance? Let me in. There is a law of equivalence of form. Once you know how to use spirituality correctly, you'll be let in. You have to go through these preparations, and the Book of Zohar is here to match you to spirituality in a faster, more comfortable way. If not, you'll have to suffer to get there.
Let's keep reading. The speech in the whisper is regarded as the speaking of the mouth, that is, without the adding of the palate, throat, teeth, and tongue, but only through the outer of the lips and the mouth, to be As it is written, her voice is not heard. Malchut rises by that speech of the mouth, that so is the way of raising Man. And Man is like a prayer upwards. And then she enters between the mother's wings and rises between the wings of Bina. This means that she receives the voice of the wings of Ima into her speech, and then in the speech that she receives, she descends and stays over the heads of the holy people. It is so because once she receives the voice of the quality of mercy from Ima, she becomes as holy as her, and her holiness returns to those who corrected her, and they too are called holy people, like her, since her speech is now holy like Ima. 171. How does Malchut rise in speech? In the beginning, when a person rises in the morning, he should bless his master when he opens his eyes. How does he bless? This is what the first Hasidim, the righteous, would do. They would place a vessel with water before them, and when they awoke at night, they would wash their hands, stand, and engage in Torah and bless for reading it. When the rooster called, it is actually midnight, and the Creator is with the righteous in the Garden of Eden. Also, it is forbidden to bless in the morning with impure and filthy hands, and so it is every hour. Explanation. Since the beginning of Malchut's correction should be with the whispering of the lips, why do we bless out loud immediately upon waking from sleep? It should have been a blessing in whisper, to first extend the voice from Ima, which is raising the Malchut by speaking with the voice of Ima. The first Hasidim corrected that correction in a practical manner, since the ascent of the Man Minukveinaim, the prayer, is either in action or in speech. Hence, during one's sleep, the spirit of holiness departs, and the spirit of impurity of the primordial serpent is over him. Since slumber is 1/60th of death, and death is from the impurity of the primordial serpent, hence upon waking from the slumber, that evil spirit did not entirely retire from him. It is still present on the tips of his fingers, since anything that is holiest, the Sitra Achra, the other side, clings to it the most. And the fingers are the holiest in the body, for there is the place of instilling of Chokhmah, of wisdom. As it is written, and all the wise-hearted women spun with their hands. Hence, the Sitra Achra of death does not retire from there even after the awakening, and it needs an action, the washing of hands. 2 vessels must be prepared, a higher vessel called Natla, a washing cup, and 2, a lower vessel to receive the filth. The higher vessel called Natla indicates the vessel of Bina, for the Sitra Achra flees from the light of Bina. It follows that the washing of fingers with the waters of Bina chases the Sitra Achra away from there, purifies the Malchut from the evil in her, and she remains good. Then it is possible to engage in Torah and to bless the Torah in a way that the act of washing the hands is similar to raising Man by the whispering of the lips to the wings of the mother. And when the rooster calls, it is actually midnight, as it is written, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. Since the holy Shekhinah, divinity, in the vessel of Malchut has diminished into the lesser light, clothed in the shells, the klipot, as it is written, and her legs go down to death. This means the tree of good and bad. If one is rewarded, it is good, and if he is not rewarded, it is bad. Thus, there are two halves in malchut, good and bad, a half in which he has been rewarded and a half in which he has not been rewarded. Hence, her governance too, which is the night, was divided after her in two halves as well. One, the first half of the night, as in not rewarded, it is bad, as it is written, you appoint darkness and it becomes night, in which all of the beasts of the forest prowl about. And two, the second half of the night, rewarded, it is good. The first correction for the good half is done at the very point of midnight, since then malchut receives the voice of Bina. When malchut rises and is mitigated inside malchut of Ima, and the judgment inside malchut becomes a holy judgment from the side of good without any bad. The meaning is that this judgment falls and stays over the Sitra Achra and becomes mercy over Israel. After midnight, a flame comes out of Isaac's pillar and strikes the rooster, who is called a gever, a man, such as another man, superior one, above him, Isaac, Bina. The flame of Isaac's pillar is the judgment of Bina. Angel Gabriel, a rooster, a man, a quality of Gvura, which serves a higher man than him. Malchut of Atzilut, the lesser light. The judgment of Bina strikes under the wings of Gabriel, and then the Malchut receives the voice of Bina through him. Okay, friends, we will pause our reading for now and check in with the chat. Chris saying hello from sunny England. Thank you, Carly, for your heart. Thank you, Dennis from Southern California. Kebedi from Ethiopia. We have Sean, Michael, Luz, Tolik, Annie, Joe, Sylvie, Mabeler, Carl. Thank you all, friends, for listening and participating in our reading. Hopefully our intention, our efforts to connect to the authors of this text, to connect to the upper light, hopefully they brought contentment above and send good energy into this world that needs it so much. Let's conclude with a clip of Dr. Rav Laitman.
Well,
we think that the more we understand the material, the more we advance, or even the more we feel the material, the more we advance, but it's incorrect. It is not the wise one who learns, and it's not necessarily the sensitive one who receives the correct impressions. No one's gonna ask you, did you pass the test? Do you already feel this and that? Did you already do this and that? Did you succeed? No, there are no tests as in this world at all. Just forget about any kind of approach you know from this world. It's all wrong. The success only depends on your effort. It is written, I labor and I find. In every moment, take only your effort into account. How much can I pressure myself to connect with godliness through the group, which is pure bestowal? you.